Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Higher Moment Mastermind. I'm Sheryl Lotzar, joined by my colleague Vern Schellinger. We are here today to answer your job search questions. We have a small group today, so would love to hear any questions you have. If any of you would like to open your mics and put on your videos, that would be great. We'd love to see you, hear you, and hear what you'd like to chat about. Got another person coming in the room here. Delia, are you new with us?
Good morning.
Good morning. Are you new with us?
Yes, it's my first time.
Welcome. How did you hear about us?
Welcome.
I found it on the Launchpad.
I'm sorry?
Launchpad. It was
Launchpad. Oh, the Austin
Launchpad.
Launchpad. Oh, great.
Yes,
Fabulous.
Austin Launchpad, and I was laid off in early last month, so I'm really new after I've been working for the agency about almost 9 years, and I haven't been in the market searching for jobs, so I don't know much about techniques or how
Sure.
prepare the resume. So I'm very struggling on that. So I'm just
Well,
looking for
that's why
resources.
that's why we're here. So glad you could join us. And since it's your first time, and I probably should remind or let people know this since I don't do this often, but this call is since it's being recorded. This call and
Mhm.
almost all the other calls that we've ever had since August 2020. We've been doing this now for over 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing, right?
Yeah.
Could be found actually on my website. I'm going to go ahead and put the um the link in the chat. Give me 1 second for that. And let's see if I can get this to work. Okay, so this is the link. So if everybody goes there, you'll find again just about every recording. We used to meet every week. Since this past
Mhm.
February, we've been meeting every other week. And you're welcome to watch all the videos. We've got lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of tips. So
Thank you.
hopefully, Delia, that will help you.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, who would like to kick us off with a question? Tangi, you just look like you have a question simmering
That's
somewhere down there.
funny. I actually do.
Oh, good, great.
How are
You
you?
got the floor.
How are you doing? Hi, Vern. I haven't seen you in a while.
Hi, Tangi. Yeah, I was
So,
actually in DC.
oh, really? Oh, man.
And
I
I
was
just
looking at,
missed him. We
I
almost got together,
know.
but it didn't
You
work.
should have, you should have reached out.
Yeah.
So I do have a question, actually. So I have decided to not look for a job like in my normal field of executive management for associations, but to kind of like, I really kind of want to bring it down a notch and a couple of notches. And I really want to work for like my granddaughter's school. I'm thinking about going on and retire and do the whole retirement thing and then do something to kind of supplement that. And I've been applying. My question is, how do I downsize this executive leadership resume that
Yeah,
says, oh, I ran multi-million dollar organizations and blah,
right,
blah, 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 blah,
right.
to get someone, even though I put in parentheses on my resume, retired now, kind of a thing.
It's
I
probably
think
gonna,
still I'm overwhelming
yeah, it's
people.
probably gonna have to be more than just a parentheses. Yeah. It's gonna have to be some sort of kind of heading at the top of your resume that actually speaks to what's going on. Not a PS past the salt, but like an actual forward bold kind of statement versus something like uh career downshifting after retirement, something along those lines.
Okay.
Seeking whatever kind of role. But I will say, Tangi, that this is probably, like what you're experiencing right now is not unusual. We've been going through this kind of, situation for many years now with folks who are retiring but still want to work, right? Honestly, Tangi, I don't think it's your resume that's going to do it. No matter what you do to that resume, it's that employers aren't going to really get it unless they know about you. So for you, oh, did we lose her? We lost her. Oh no, she went away. All right, well, she'll come back. We'll
No.
pick it up when she gets back.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, I was going to say, it's going to be about networking for her.
Yeah.
It's about networking for everybody. I mean, that's just kind of the way that this job market goes. Over 80% of jobs are gotten through personal networking, but particularly when you're a career shifter, changer, anything that's a little bit unusual, that's, networking is going to be key. So anyway, I'll press pause on that until Tangi comes back. But
Yeah.
I was about to say something in case I don't get to if she
Oh.
comes when she comes back.
here's Tangi. Okay. Yeah,
Is she back?
Yeah, she's back. Scott, when she's here, did you want to say something I'll pick up again, but Scott, did you have something for Tangi?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, when you're doing your summary, if you say like retired professional looking to keep busy, or retired, well, not keep busy, but like a retired professional looking to use her experience in a less active role as, or something, like work it into her summary.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Okay.
certainly can work. I think anything like that certainly can help, right? As long as it's big and bold and right and right up front. But really, Tangi, like that's the document, okay? But it's the people in your network that are going to help you land that kind of role. Because
Okay.
people have to know your story. Basically, I'm going to use a phrase that some people use. You need to show up before your resume. Let me say that again. You need to show up before your resume. So it's not about the document, it's about the relationships.
Okay.
When you have somebody refer you in and they say to the executive, hey, I got a friend named Tangi, and she is in retired mode, looking to downshift, looking for something, sort of lighter weight kind of a role. And this thing at the school is, could be a really great idea. Would you consider interviewing her? Would you consider doing an informational interview? Would you consider, right? She's a non-traditional, that's a phrase they could use, your colleagues use. She's a non-traditional hire,
Okay. Okay.
right? It's really, really about your network and getting and getting seen before your resume. But then once you have your resume, yes, to Scott's point, have that summary, have that heading, make sure. And then the rest of your resume, it's not that you're going to say anything different necessarily, but I would condense it. I wouldn't have a long, healthy, substantive resume. List chronology and maybe a little paragraph. What I would say though is that if you're looking to shift um, into an aspect of, if you're looking to, let me say this. Let's say you're looking to do something administrative or light programmatic or whatever. What you could do is you could also take your resume and first of all, not showcase all of the fancy accomplishments, but just pull out one or two and label them with some lighter competencies like program management or, you know, operational coordination
Right.
or something like the things that are sort of lightweight, not the executive management types of skills, but lighter things that sort of kind of hint to the employer, hey, she's not trying to show herself as overpowered, but kind of a few skills that are more relevant. But again, I just don't think it's going to be about the resume. I really think it's going to be the relationship.
Yeah, and Tangi, let me add on to the whole networking thing. I mean, think about, and this advice really goes for all of you in terms of the job search. Who are the people who know you the best? They know about your character, they know about your interests, they know about your abilities and your skills. And you just, reach out to them and you tell them exactly what you're telling us. Hey, I'm really moving into retirement. I'm really looking for something to do. If you have ideas about what you want to do, then share that with them and just ask them, what advice do you have for me? What, you know me pretty well. Where do you think my skills and abilities would fit? Do you know of any potential avenues that I should follow or paths that I should follow to connect with people in this area? Do you know if this person says, geez, I don't think I can help you? Well, is there anyone in your network who you might introduce me to who might be able to help me in this area.
Okay. Okay.
And so the more and more people, this is like sure said, showing up before your resume, the more and more people that you talk to about what you're trying to accomplish, this is my goal, this is what I want, the greater likelihood that some of those folks will be able to help you get to where you're looking to go.
Yeah, I appreciate it, because I think for me, like, since being home, I realized I don't want to do all that stressfulness anymore. And it's not necessarily the school. I don't mind working for a nonprofit or association, but I just want to, I'm going to actually try to continue to build out my consultancy business that I've had for years, and really put the energy into gaining more clients. But in the meantime, I need some income as well to help supplement the retirement income.
I think that phrase, I'm looking for a non-traditional role. You use that phrase with your colleagues, that should help them to think of it. Oh, okay, it's not an executive level. Tangi's looking for something else. Maybe, and you can prompt them and say, look, for example, if you, ask your colleagues if you know of a small business that's looking for some support, part-time work. Again, go to the school, all the different areas, look at all the different sort of facets of your life where you hang out, and ask people who you already know. Do they know something that's non-traditional, lighter weight?
And then one more thing to add to that, another backup question is, if I do find something, like I had a friend that did actually connect me to a meeting planning position. And I felt like, as I got to talking, and it was with an association management company, but I felt like as I was going through the process, that the director felt like maybe I would overshadow her, or wanted to, and I tried to downplay my whole, this is what I'm looking for kind of a thing.
Right.
And but I also didn't want to sound like I don't want to work either. Like I'm just coming
that's
hang
the
out
balance.
with you guys. So how do you talk to people that you have more experience than them and get them to feel more comfortable?
I would actually be very straight about it. I wouldn't dance around it. I would actually very nicely address it and say, look, I recognize, again, I'm going to use this phrase again. I recognize I'm a non-traditional hire. Okay. I recognize that I have more experience than this role would dictate. And I want you to be rest assured. On the one hand, I'm going to work hard. At the same time, I'm not looking to take your job. Let me just be very straight. Right? I don't have career aspirations here. I'm looking for something where I can utilize my skills in a less stressful way. I'm going to give it my all. At the same time, I'm not looking to overshadow you or anyone else at an executive level. Please be rest assured. Like, I would actually say it.
Okay.
So, yeah, don't dance. Just go straight for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Clarity is power.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just been doing some soul searching, and then some personal things have changed in my home as well. Like my mom is now living with me and stuff like this. I was like, you know what? God must be talking to me in another format, and I need to reconsider some things. So I just kind of did some soul searching on this. And then, like I said, I haven't had to think hard, produce any strategy reports or any of that kind of stuff for months. And it's like, I don't miss it. I don't. When you've been doing this for 30 years, you don't miss it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Every different stages of life bring different career aspirations.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm gonna. I had to bring you up on my phone. I don't know why my computer automatically shut down, even though it was plugged in. But I'm gonna go back on my computer. But you all go ahead. I'm gonna mute, and then I'm gonna try to switch back over.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So who else has some questions? Josh, good to see you. I know you're new to the group, but I'm glad that
Good to see you too.
you followed up on our conversation to join us. So Josh or Amanda, Delia, Karen, any questions that you'd like to pose to the group on any aspect of your job search?
My question is, you guys are noting that it's 80% of jobs finding is networking. What are the tools, or how do you do besides reaching your friends, or what else one can do on that regard?
Well, that is a very big, full answer. Vern and I are laughing because we have literally whole
It's a
presentations.
lot. The percentage is
We
it's a huge.
truly, there's a lot that we can say. So actually, you know what, Vern, I know I've been talking a while here. I'm just going to pass that question to you, especially since that is your jam, especially. So you want to talk about some networking techniques?
Sure. The first thing that I, especially the contacts count and what we stand for, we try to get people to think about networking differently in terms of the conversations you're having with people, and not to put all kinds of pressure on yourself to perform or anything like that. You're simply having a conversation with someone else, and in that conversation, you're looking for an opportunity where you can teach the other person something about yourself, who you are, what you're all about, the type of job you're looking for, and at the same time, look for an opportunity to learn something about them. And so the logic is very simple. The more I teach Shira about who I am and what I'm all about and what I'm looking for, the greater likelihood she might be able to help me in some way. And the more Shira learns about me, the greater likelihood Shira might help me in some way. So when you're in the job search, you're looking for people to help you. You're looking for people to introduce you to, a possible opportunity, to introduce you to others in their network who may work in the field that you're looking to find a job in. So if you start with that, and then we all talk about the fact that I don't like the word elevator pitch, but because it reminds me of being in an elevator trapped with someone else, giving them your speech. But you do need to, tell me a little bit about yourself. You need to really think about that and be prepared to answer that question. Don't take, 30 minutes, but in 2 or 3 minutes, tell them about yourself, your skills, your experience, what you're looking for specifically in terms of the job market. And the more people that you have that conversation with, Sharon, I can almost guarantee you that someone, someplace, somewhere is going to start to, say, I do know of an opportunity here, or I know of someone that I can introduce you to. And so this whole job search process to get into that 80% of the jobs that are found through networking, and to tap into what's called the hidden job market, which Sharon and I are very familiar with. There's jobs that are not posted on the internet anywhere. And the only way that you'd ever find out about any of those jobs is through someone in your network who knows that that job exists. So let me stop there. And
Yeah, so there's so much that we can talk about. So Vern just alluded to a little bit of the how, right, in terms of the quality of the conversation. I'm going to talk a little bit about the who, okay? And I'm going to share my screen because, as I mentioned, Delia, this presentation. Actually, Vern and I have co-presented on this. I'm just going to share with you a little bit of content from my side of things. So I have this concept, all right, and I call it the family tree of networking. All right. So what does that actually mean? So when you think about the family tree, they're basically, I feel like there are two kinds of people that should be in your family network. The people who know you, like you, and trust you. So that's those the relational people to you, right? And then people who get what you do or want to do. It's two different things. And I really want everybody to think about this for a moment. There are people in your life who you have a relationship with, everybody from family and friends and next door neighbors to colleagues, past people in your past, but for whatever reason, they are in your life and there's a relationship there of some sort. I want you to separate that out from the people in your life who professionally understand what you do. You may not have a relationship with them, or you might have a relationship with them, but I want you to separate that out in your mind. These are the people who professionally, they could be strangers or they could be close colleagues, but professionally they get what you do or want to do. Now, when there's an intersection, that's a beautiful thing because then when somebody has a relationship with you and also gets what you want to do, well, that's a wonderful referral source because they are capable, they want to help you and they're capable of helping you. So I want to give everybody a little bit of a taste of what this is. So I have this on the both sides have this very same formula: twin siblings, first cousins, and second cousins. So I'm going to first do the know you, like you, and trust you on the twin siblings, first cousins, second cousins. So a twin to me is somebody who knows you by voice. It's your family member, it's your best friend. Basically, I say it's somebody who would help you move or dance at your wedding. All right, those people, right? Very, 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 very close. They're there. In fact, they absolutely know you're looking for a job. They're thinking of you all the time. They're like, oh, let me help Delia to get a job. Those trusted people. Your sibling is somebody who knows you by first name or a close colleague. So Vern and I are absolutely siblings, right? We can pick up a phone, send a text, hey Vern, hey Shara, can you help me with blah, 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 and instantly, right? We're close. A first cousin is a past relationship. Vern calls it a dormant relationship. Now, let me press pause on this one. These are people you have not talked to in a long time. When I say a long time, I could mean a year, 5 years, 10 years, 25 years. It doesn't matter. As long as you left that person on a good, warm note, they will be delighted to hear from you. Oh, blast from the past, Delia, how's it going? Vern and I have had that happen a million times, right? I'm sure a lot of you have. It's that, right? Don't worry that you haven't talked to the person in a long time. It's time is irrelevant when it comes to relationships. As long as your last connection was solid and warm, they will be happy to hear from you. Those could be some of the best. In fact, that's actually how Vern and I reconnected. Vern and I knew each other for years in a human resources association, a group, a cohort of people. And we would see each other at monthly meetings and whatever. And then Vern, retired, he moved away, whatever. And we lost touch. Well, one day there was somebody on this call a few years ago, a couple years ago, who had been working with Vern and who mentioned to Vern, hey, Vern, I'm on this weekly call with this job search group, blah, blah, and it's run by this woman, Shira Lozar. And Vern's like, Shira? Wait, I know Shira. And so he just reaches out one day, random. We hadn't talked in years. He's like, Shira. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Vern, hey, how are you? Right? Because we had a warm connection last we talked. And I said, hey, would you like to join our group? And he's been on the call ever since. All right. And that's because someone on this group reconnected us. So those relationships are there. They might have a low ember in the flame, but you can resurrect them. Okay. And then your second cousin is what I call a past acquaintance, where you're friendly, not close. Okay. So not close. So that's somebody who, maybe you met a long time ago. You would probably have to say your first and last name to remind them of like, oh, here's how we met. And they're like, oh yeah, Delia, right. Not a close relationship, but they have some connection with you. Okay. So then there's the people who know you by profession. Okay. So these people, twins, this is actually a very hidden type of a relationship most people are not aware of. These twins are people who do what you do. The reason why I say they are the best referral source, and I'm going to say it really slowly and clearly so that everybody gets it. These are the people who will hear about opportunities that are not right for them, but could be right for you. I want you to let that sink in for a second. Jobs that they hear about that are not right for them, but could be right for you. Why do I say it that way? Because that's how recruiters recruit. Recruiters go under the mindset of birds of a feather flock together. So if I, as a recruiter, which I am, I'm a recruiter and a career coach. I do both, okay? So my recruiter hat, and Vern used to be in human resources, so he knows this very well too. In my recruiter hat, if I'm looking for, I'm making this up, I'm looking for a director of marketing, okay? What am I gonna do? I'm gonna go on LinkedIn. Here's your tip, here's your tool, Delia, okay? Here's your tool. I'm gonna go on LinkedIn and I'm gonna use the search bar in the upper left-hand corner and I'm gonna type in director of marketing. Who's gonna come up? A whole bunch of directors of marketing. And I'm going to start reaching out to people. And I'm going to assume that a lot of the people I'm reaching out to are not interested in my role or not looking for a job or whatever. But I'm also assuming that marketing professionals hang out together. That's a very good assumption. Why? Because you have groups like the American Marketing Association. Okay. And there's an association for everything, by the way. I'm not kidding. There's an association for everything. And so whether marketing people hang out in association or they hang out on Meetup or in social media or whatever, marketing people hang out together. So do accountants. So do HR people. So do financial planners. So do project managers. So do Pick your profession. There's some cohort out there of people hanging out together. And we recruiters assume that. And so we assume that you're probably going to know another marketing person. Okay. That's why you've got to go after the people who do what you do. And again, LinkedIn is a fabulous place to do that if you use the search bar. You can be your own recruiter. So Delia, if you are director of marketing, you should go into the search bar and type in director of marketing and find out who's in your network. There's probably more people who do what you do than you realize. First levels, second levels, and third levels. Your first levels are obviously the ones you want to go after first because you have some sort of connection. Again, even if it's a dormant connection, it's still a connection that can be resurrected. So go after your first levels. And then your second levels, obviously there's a mutual first level connection. So you reach out to a second level and you reference the name of your first level as the connection point, and hopefully that person will talk to you. Now, understand that people are busy. People don't often check their LinkedIn, right? So what I'm not suggesting here is it's going to work every time. Not at all. In fact, the way that you need to think about your networking is, I always say this, like a farmer. A farmer plants lots and lots and lots and lots of seeds. Why? Because the farmer knows that the birds and the wind and the rain are going to eat up 50% of it. And in this case, person's not going to check their LinkedIn. They're going to check it, but they forget to respond back to you, whatever, just a million reasons. You've got to plant lots and lots and lots and lots of seeds. Or in sales, we call that a funnel. Big funnel over here, right? And down here, a few of them might respond back to you. So you've got to really be intentional and throw a lot of seeds out there. Don't assume that every person you reach out to is going to reach back. Not true. For lots of reasons, having nothing to do with you. They may not, okay? A sibling is somebody who does something similar to what you do. So let's say I was a marketing person. A sibling to me might be a public relations professional, right? Somebody, a PR person, and PR and marketing are kind of in the same world. A PR person also might hear about a marketing opportunity. A first cousin is someone who understands what you do, maybe a salesperson, I don't know, somebody. And then a second cousin is somebody who's familiar with what you do. And the reason why I list it out like this is because if you're going to be intentional about your networking, while certainly anybody can refer you a job, including your next door neighbor, okay, the farther away that person is from what you do, the less likely it is that they're going to hear about an opportunity that's right for you. So my next door neighbor is in IT, and his world is completely different from my world. So what's the likelihood he's going to have a good referral from me? Probably not so much. Could he randomly have one? Absolutely. So I would still talk to him, but he's not, I wouldn't like assume that he's going to hear about something. Whereas if he was in the kind of work that I do, I'd be, oh, we should really do some networking, right? And kind of get into it because he would be likely to hear about good opportunities. Delia, does this make sense? Yeah. And then the third thing that I want to do is mention industry. So I call it community. Okay, so I see your lane is, you saw this earlier, lane. So your lane is this is my own nomenclature. Your lane is your profession. Your community is the industry, mission, or sector that you serve. So your lane is what you do. Your community is who you do it for. And so it's the same concept here with the community. You still have twin siblings, first cousins, second cousins. So for example, let's say your community were animal welfare nonprofits, like the World Wildlife Fund, something like that, right? You wanted to work for the World Wildlife Fund. Well, if you obviously want to go after people like that, but you could also talk to people who are in general environmental nonprofits. Are they likely to hear about a job at the World Wildlife Fund? Maybe, possibly, right? Because they kind of play in the same world, but not exactly. But less likely if you just network with anybody in the nonprofit sector. Might they hear about World Wildlife Fund? Maybe. Probably not. I mean, maybe, right? But it's much less likely because that is a very broad sector. And then finally, I said a veterinarian. I know that's kind of funny. Like, is a veterinarian going to hear about it? Probably not. But I'm making that point because as you are thinking through your networking strategy, again, try to go toward the twins. Your twins relationally, your twins professionally, your twins in your community as much as possible. And then you can sort of work your way down the pike. Okay? So hopefully that was a good explanation for you. So you got some of the how, you got some of the who. Obviously, there's a lot more than Vern and I can share, but I think that's probably good for everybody right now. Is that all helpful?
Yes, it was.
Good.
Thank you.
Did that bring anything else up for you, Delia, or anyone else? Did any other questions you have that you want to talk through about networking? Yeah, Amanda.
Um, yeah, well, it kind of relates to networking. So I recently had a Zoom call with a somebody who works at one of the big like temp agency things, and they're like, we'll get back in touch with you if we see anything, you can get back in touch, every week or so. So I did that. And she's like, yeah, I don't have anything right now. But I'm like, wait a minute, I can just go on their site and see a few jobs that are good fits. So do why do they do that? This has happened before too, where like I've tried to work with, temp agencies, but they just never have anything for me, even though I can go on their website and find stuff that are pretty good fits for me. So,
Well, so, Ren and I we have a whole other conversation about recruiters. This opens up a whole other door. Okay. I'll take my first stab and I'll talk a little bit about the whole temp world, and then Vern, if you want to chime in, and then there's the whole recruiter world. So let me start and say this. Recruiters, whether they are doing searches for temporary jobs or for permanent positions, they work for the employer. Okay. They don't work for the candidate. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because they have their own vetting criteria that they know their clients well. So even though something on paper could look like a good fit for a candidate, they know the culture, they know the role, they know a whole lot of things that the candidate's not going to know on paper to figure out whether or not the role is what they believe is a good fit for the candidate, whether it's a temporary position or permanent position. So it could be, Amanda, that there are things that you're just not aware of about what the client is looking for that just may not be a fit for your background or for something that you said in the interview that says, about what you're looking for or whatever. So it's very, very possible that there is some stuff going on behind the scenes. And on top, however, with that said, these especially temp recruiters are very, very busy, and they're kind of like popcorning all over the place because everything's like frenetic and fast, and the employer's like, I need somebody now, and and they have to keep a lot of temp candidates in their mind all the time, and sometimes they don't necessarily do the best job, but that I'm not judging them. It's just life. They get busy. So sometimes it is important for you to remind them and say, hey, on your website I noticed job X that I actually think I could be a good fit for. I would do that, Amanda, because it truly they might have forgotten, because there's so many candidates that you're dealing with, and things are changing all the time. They truly may not be thinking of you the way you are, or you see something in the job that they missed it. Like they think you're not the right fit, but when you looked at the job, you saw like actually that thing right there I actually am. And they might reconsider you. It's like, oh, well, thanks for remind. Yes, actually, let's talk about it. So the point is that they have a lot of criteria that they're thinking about. They've got a lot going on. There's just a lot of machinations. So yes, go on their website, but do understand that if they continue to say, no, I don't think that's the right fit for you, there could be reasons that you're just not aware of. Vern, is there anything you want to add to that?
I guess the other thing that I would add to that is that, again, think of those search firms, those temporary firms. Again, as Shira said, they work for the employer,
mhm.
and they don't get paid until they place someone,
Mhm.
right? So they're scrambling to get as many balls in the air as possible, uh, hoping that two or three of them, the employer hires their candidate, because they could be in competition with other contingent firms or search firms that are also sending applications or resumes to that same employer. So they're in competition with others. So as Shira said, on top of everything Shira said, they got other stuff going on personally for them in terms of how they make money. And so that's going to drive them rather than responding to you or spending 30 minutes talking to you. They just don't have the time to do
What
that.
the other way to say reframe what Vern is saying, all third-party recruiters are in commission sales.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let me just say that straight up, commission sales. So in what Vern is talking about is something that's called the contingent hire. The contingent hire means that they don't get paid until they make the placement. There's another kind of recruitment that would be on the permanent placement side. Some permanent placement recruiters also do what's called retained search. That's what I do. I do retained search, which means I don't get paid when they make the placement. I get paid throughout the search, and it's an exclusive relationship. And the employer's investing in me, and I'm investing in them, and I get paid throughout the process. So I don't have any competition. So I can slow the roll when I'm doing the search, and I can take the time to be more thorough and thoughtful and all these things. Contingent recruiters can't always do that because, like Vern said, they're competing all the time. It's a pretty frenetic way to do work, but that's just the way that some of the business models work. But you wouldn't know that. No one's telling you any of this, right? You're just experiencing it, the back end of it, but what's really going on is that they are, again, they're probably competing. They've got it's fast paced. It's lots of candidates. It's just like a lot going on. And so you don't know that. And so I would continue to ping them when they say, yeah, it's okay, because sometimes they need you to ping them. Now, if they keep saying, I don't have anything, just trust them. Or you can, like I said, pull out a job and say, but that job, I really think, can you reconsider me for that position? Right. But if they keep saying no, it may have nothing to do with you. It just may just be other things that are going on that, it just isn't the right fit. Is that helpful, Amanda?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the temp stuff, like that's like one of the many things I am doing to get a job. Networking is the big one. Applying for jobs is the other big one. Temp agency is like a tertiary thing because I definitely don't want to just focus on that because that's just not a good way of doing it. But yeah, it was just getting kind of annoying sometimes when like other firms just always said no, 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 no. And so, but I think I found a few other firms that might just be better fits for what I need. So
Yeah. With temp agencies, even with just any recruiting agency, I would just plant seeds. Just put your resume in with all of them, which you never know who's going to have the right opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, I would never guarantee it, and I would never put your eggs in that basket because again, they are working for the employer. So you just, put your hat in the ring with as many as possible because you never know.
Yep.
Yeah. Pete, you are new to us. Welcome.
Thank you. A couple of questions. I guess your comment about external recruiters and how sometimes you have an exclusive deal with the client, I guess, or
Yeah.
Is there so I think I've had a couple of those types of recruiters reach out to me and got me lined up with an interview and then never heard back from them. And I think they were dishonest. And I'll get back to you as soon as I get feedback from the client, because I had the interview. The next day I saw the recruiter's company repost for that same position, essentially. I mean, it didn't have the client's name on it. And he said, they really liked you. They have some other candidates, that they're interviewing with, not associated with us.
Yeah, that's contingent. That's contingent. That's a contingent search.
Yeah.
Is there an easy way to tell that when you're like searching on LinkedIn, if you're trying to reach out to such recruiters?
Nope. They're never going to tell you what their business relationship is with the client. What I can say though is that one of the big clues is actually if it's a clue could be if they're posting it confidentially. If they just generically talk about the role, they don't say who the client is, that is very likely a contingent search because they have to keep it confidential because they have competition. Because if they put out the name of the organization, then other search firms could pick it up. You could go directly to the client. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen if they tell you who it is. So that is actually one clue. With that said, sometimes even a retained search could be confidential because there's an incumbent in the job who doesn't know that they're being possibly let go. So that's not always the case. But if it is, but even if they say who it is, you just don't know, right? No, you can. It would be a little unusual, but you could ask the recruiter when you're talking to them, is this contingent or retained? They'll be like, how do you know that? How do you even know to ask the question? That would be a little different, but you could. You could just to manage your own expectations and say, or you can say, is this an exclusive relationship? Do you have an exclusive relationship with the client? And they'll wonder why you even know that to ask that question, but that's okay. You can. There's nothing wrong with it.
I think the one interview I had actually was with a situation where you described the employee didn't know he was going to be let go. Because I was told it was for like an IT manager position. That's what the recruiter told me. When I got to the interview, the client was, this is for a director of development or something like that. So I was not well prepared for what I was walking into in that case.
Yeah. Yeah, as Shira said, I've been in, a good part of my career. I was in a senior level in HR. So, I've been in both positions where sometimes, HR departments will hire 2 or 3 of the contingent firms. And they'll just say, first one to, you can send us your candidates in which, wherever we pick the candidate from, that contingent firm wins.
Right.
So as Shira said, there's kind of fierce competition between these contingent firms. When you have a retained search such as Shira does, that is the best possible position for you as a candidate.
That's right.
Because, as Shira said, she's retained. So her reputation is based on the client saying, let's suppose she's working for me. I'm expecting Shira to bring me 3, 5 really well
qualified candidates.
Really qualified people for this. That's why I'm paying her so much money more than a contingent firm.
That's right.
So and here's the other thing about retained search. It's in Shira's best interest to work with each one of those 3 to 5, let's say it's 3 candidates, to work with each one of them, tell them a little bit about the culture, tell them a little bit about the position, tell them you are much more prepared. The retained search person actually helping you prepare for the interview.
That's right.
Because it's in their best interest. And I've had this happen with retained search firms, some good, some bad. They send me, I said, here's the salary range, and they're sending me people, way above the salary range. I'm going, what is wrong with you? I don't want to work with this retained search firm anymore. So, but in the best cases, the retained search firms really, it's
a consult. The best ones are it's a consultative relationship that we have with the client.
Yes.
I mean, I'm doing one right now, and I've literally been talking with him. We're talking through compensation strategies. We're talking through the industry, the sector, where the person should come. I'm literally helping him craft the profile and really I'm into it with him, right? We're really figuring out together who is the right fit, who is the wrong fit, why. All of these things. I mean, there's subtleties. Let me just give you a very quick example. So there's a search that I'm actually starting right now. It's a high level search, and it's a position that is a succession planning opportunity. So this number 1 executive is going to be retiring, and this person's going to has an opportunity to succession plan into that role. And in this position, this is a trade association, and this organization is not a lobbying organization. It's very unusual. They're not an advocacy organization, but they have tangential relationships within the advocacy world. They believe, we talked about this, if we figured this out, that one of the profiles for this person, for this role, could be somebody who actually comes from an advocacy role, who doesn't want to do advocacy anymore, understands that world, but actually has a broader business sense. Now, this is subtlety that I'm sharing with you, Pete, right? That you as the candidate wouldn't know all of this. But my client and I have sort of figured this out in the background, like, this could be kind of a really cool profile to bring somebody in. So then I need to go out, and when I start talking to government relations advocacy people, I need to be super clear about what the job is and what the job is. And in fact, I actually wrote that in the description and mentioned this subtlety. And when I talk to people, I have to be really, really clear, and I have to understand the career motivators of the candidate along with their skills. I have to manage their expectations. And this is only one aspect of this search, right? But I'm in such deep conversations with my client we figured this out together, and now it's my job to go find the right person who's so skilled, who's also motivated, right career position, explain to them the situation, and make sure it's a good fit for them before I present this person to my client. And then everybody's expectations are managed well. That is one of the benefits of having a retained experience, because somebody like me can have that kind of deep relationship. Contingent firms often can't do that because oftentimes there just isn't the time for it. They're kind of frenetic, right? Does that make sense? So this is one extreme, but then a lot of you are going to be experiencing the other. Make
It
sense?
just seemed odd to me. I'm guessing that they might have been retained ones, because I mean, they did spend time prepping me, and putting me forward. And that's why I was kind of surprised that, they weren't very honest with providing feedback afterwards. It's just like,
Vern, do you want to deal with the feedback thing?
Well, I was going to say that the contingent firms still, if again, they're looking at 100 resumes at a time for this one position, and when they do select somebody to go forward to the employer, they obviously want to prepare you to some extent, because the better they prepare you and the better you interview, the greater likelihood you'll get selected and they'll get paid. So
right.
it's coming from that perspective, and if you just, I mean, you just heard what Shira said. I mean, a retained search is such a different search in terms of the time and the effort and the energy that the retained search firm puts into this, but they're getting paid a lot more to do it, which is
Yeah.
that's
But
the way.
I want to address the feedback thing, actually. I think this is something you've been alluding to, and I might have missed it. I want everybody to understand this, what I'm about to share. This is not just for Pete. I always talk about the fact that employers are risk averse, okay? And they're risk averse, and their risk aversion cascades throughout the entire process, from how they vet you and all of these things. It also cascades to how feedback is delivered to the candidate. Employers are very, very circumspect around giving any kind of feedback that would be deemed negative. Why? They don't want to get sued. I want you to think about this for a moment. Employers have had situations where they give feedback to somebody, and the feedback is legit, it's just their own feeling. And for some reason, the candidate interprets it in such a way as to say, fill in the blank. It's discriminatory, it's whatever it is, okay? And I'm not saying whether it is or it isn't. It's just that employers have been around the block with this, and they would much rather give no feedback or mild feedback or generic feedback than specific, okay? And so same goes with the recruiter. We all have to be very circumspect in what we say. So it could be that, yes, you did a nice job, but it doesn't mean that it's going to get you the job, right? Meaning it could be that, yeah, you did well, but somebody else did better, or there was something about the fit that wasn't there, and the culture fit, whatever, and the recruiter can't say anything, and shouldn't, frankly, because they're protecting the employer from any sort of litigious activity. And so it could be, does that make sense? And so they're not necessarily going to be transparent. That's kind of my point.
I guess just one comment there is, it would be nice for them to give closure and say, at least, you haven't been selected, as opposed
That
to
they should have. That they absolutely should have.
at the end of the interview, if you get no response at all, even after attempting to follow
that's
up.
just poor candidate management. Yeah. And sometimes that happens because, again, they're running around and they've got 50,000 people, and they don't have a proper tracking system to make sure to go back and close the loop with all. They should do that. Absolutely. Unfortunately, your experience is more common than not. So I always say, pack your patience with these things. And yes, it would be helpful to get the loop closed. And if you don't, then you don't, and you just got to move on. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. All right. Another question before we wrap up. Josh.
I'll take a stab at it. So I guess this is two in one. So I'm curious to know about when applying for jobs. what like what the flexibility is in terms of job titles or what they're looking for. If they say 5 years experience, or and I have 2 years, or like depending on different things. When is there any indicators when it's right to go for something, or should I
Mm.
not save my time for something else,
That's
right?
a great,
Um,
yeah, that's a great question. Right?
yeah,
Well, yes, no,
because
maybe.
I
Yeah,
well, I'll say one thing, because with job recruiting too, somebody just told me this Monday, where they said this is some semi related to, but for recruiters for temp agencies or contract agencies, they said, at least in my area in Minneapolis, they said candidates are really dry right now. I technically don't have a degree, in one class away, which has been my big thing. But they're like, oh yeah, we'll throw you in because we need
right.
somebody. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh sweet, that's really nice for me,
Yeah. It's
Good.
So
Need
yeah.
somebody.
Yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
no, but that does happen. We definitely have those moments in the job market, right? Where it's all the buyer seller market, right?
Mhm.
Where sometimes the employer's like, I'll just take anybody, right? Um, I know, and I was talking to somebody, an organization in the public health space, a couple years ago, and they're like, "Man, it's just so hard to get public health workers. This is what the employer said. We're going to our local Starbucks, and we're recruiting the baristas." I mean, right? Like, so every job market's different. It's not just the economy; it's the sector that they're looking for. And so it could very well be that you'll have more of that, and that's great, for you. So you just never know.
But is there anything to indicate whether or not, like, I should
You should, in
go
terms of
for
the
it,
years of
or
experience, look, there
yeah.
there's some subtlety here. So if they say 5 years and you have 2 years, to me, maybe maybe apply. Just manage your expectations, but I would suggest that if there's a greater likelihood that they will say yes if there's something very extra compelling about your background. It's not even just the years, it's the quality. That's really what people are looking for, is the lane in the community. How close is your lane experience? How close is your community experience? And if it's super, super on target and you've got 2 and they're asking for 5, you can apply, I'd say. If they're looking for 10, no.
Right. Yeah.
So probably within a couple, but do
Sure.
understand that they very well may say, we asked for 5.
Yeah. Share,
Got it.
share, so, I guess the other thing, I mean, if they're saying 5 and you've got 2, but you look at the key, here are the skills and here are the things you need to do, and you match up well with those, to me, that would say, well, I know they want 5, I only got 2, but it seems like I'm matching up pretty well with
Right.
with what they're asking for,
That's right.
then apply.
Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah,
Got to sort of use your
Okay.
judgment on it.
yeah.
Sure.
I say apply anyway. Look at me with 30 and they don't want that.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Employers are like,
So,
not too, but they want what I call the Goldilocks candidate,
Like
right? Not too
right,
much, not too little.
right. There you go. So
Yeah.
apply, Joshua. I mean, like, you just never know.
You don't
Yeah.
You
know.
never know. I've hired people when I was hiring. I've hired people that was fresh out of college,
Mhm.
even though we
Wow.
wanted somebody with more
Right.
experience or whatever, because I mean, their personality, um, their resume just read well, even with volunteer work or whatever. And they
Mhm.
had some jobs, but when we did the initial interview, their personality was a good cultural fit.
Mhm.
And
And you can shape
so,
them too. Just
Mhm.
yeah, and you
yeah.
can shape them, and you're willing to give somebody a chance.
Right.
And
Mhm.
I have always been one. I can't say everybody's like this, but I've always been one that felt like somebody gave me my first job.
Mhm.
So if it's not someone that needs some some technological whatever before they can take a computer apart,
Yeah. Yeah.
if I can mold them into a position, sometimes people will take a chance on you. Say,
Yeah.
what can you lose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
You
apply.
just manage your
Okay.
expectations,
Yeah.
but yes,
Yeah.
but yeah, you can.
Cool. Love it. Thanks, guys.
All right. One last question before we wrap up. Amanda.
Why is it that like some recruiters and employers really look down on volunteer experience? Like,
well, some do because they believe that in a volunteer role, the person is not as accountable for the work. When you're paid to do a job, you are accountable for the work. Like literally, you can lose your job if you don't produce the deliverables. In a volunteer capacity, it's a much more flexible arrangement. The employer saying, look, you're working for free. We can't hold you accountable. You give us whatever you can give us. And so your work quality might be good or not or whatever, but in volunteering is just not as grounded. With that said, hopefully there are employers out there that appreciate that a good volunteer is a good volunteer and work is work, right? And so I'm sure that, that's what you're going for. You're hoping that somebody is going to see that, just because you weren't paid doesn't mean that you didn't do a great job. So to the extent that you can, if you get to the interview stage, talk about the quality of your volunteer work, that you treated it like a regular job. You were committed, you were dedicated, you over-delivered on deliverables and all of those things, and you were accountable for the work. So that's what I would do is overcome the objection before they even think it and just address it just like you would in any other job.
Yeah. I mean, if you were in volunteer work and you helped them solve a problem they've been having at this volunteer organization,
yeah,
that's using problem solving skills.
That's right.
And anything in that volunteering, situation where you really used your skills, save the problem, made a process more efficient, whatever it was, those are things. They're not the main things you're going to lead with in the job interview, but as Shira said, if it comes up, certainly you can reference that.
Absolutely. Have your same accomplishment stories that you would with a regular job. That's how you can overcome it.
Yeah. I asked because like a month ago, I was talking with a temp agency and it was more communications focused, which is what I want to get into. And I've had communications jobs in the past. It's just been a little while. COVID kind of made everything crazy, but I'm currently volunteering as a communications assistant. And they said, oh, your last communication job was like 3 years ago. And I'm like, well, no, I'm currently doing communications work. And they literally said, yeah, but that's volunteering. Like
so if you ever get that statement again, say, well, let me explain to you how I treat that job. I actually treat that job as if it's a traditional job. I work X hours a week. I have a supervisor. They assign me these deliverables and I have been accountable, and I would push back a little bit on that and say, let me show you, it's not just a volunteer job. I treat it like a regular job. And I've learned X skills and really, really make a thing of it.
I was going to say, also ask the place that you're volunteering if they will allow you to label it more as an internship versus as a volunteer job, because internships speak
That's true.
a little bit stronger to hiring managers than a volunteer position. But get permission first, because if they call for the reference, you want to make sure that you all are all speaking the same language.
That's right.
And most internships are unpaid, so.
That's a good point. Yep.
Sometimes that's when the PR in me come out, where you do some word twisting.
Right. That's right. That's right. Tangi, you've been in communications, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you and Amanda can network a little bit. Because
Amanda,
looking for an entry level.
Connect with me. Do you have LinkedIn?
Yes, I do.
Connect. Grab my name off the thing and then connect with me through LinkedIn. By the time I give you my email address, everybody will be bored.
What is your?
Actually, Tangi, would you mind just putting your email in the chat for just direct Amanda?
Sure, I can do that. I'll send it to you.
Fabulous. Okay. Good. Well, there you go. A little networking just happened. You never know. Actually, I will tell you, there was somebody who got a job because they were on this call. This is a while back, and she was on the call. She heard about another networking group because she was on this call. She went to that group, and on that group, there was a hiring manager on that call who said, hey, we're looking for a director of membership. And this person, again, who used to be on this call, she apparently had applied for that job. and never heard back from the organization. When she got on that call and heard that supervisor mention it, she goes, hey, I've applied, I've interested. She's like, oh, the supervisor was like, oh, send me your resume directly. She did, and she got the job. Okay.
Oh, wow.
You just never know. You never know. So Amanda,
Right.
Tangi, have fun.
Okay.
All right, guys. So we'll go ahead and wrap up the formal part of our conversation today. And then for those of you who would like to stay on, I offer a short prayer call for encouragement. So you're certainly welcome to stay for that. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody in a couple weeks for our next Hiring Moment Mastermind. Have a blessed day.